you made the decision, rightly so, that your health is your priority right now. And I know that the last time we spoke,
that was a long time ago. By the way, just to be clear, when I did American Idol, all they ever did was put horrible singers in front of me.
At just 13 years old, Courtney Hadwin walked onto the America's Got Talent stage, looking like any other nervous teenager. But the moment the music started, something extraordinary happened. She transformed. With a voice that growled like Janis Joplin and energy that could fill an arena, she unleashed a performance that left the judges stunned and the world gasping. The golden buzzer fell, the crowd erupted, and Courtney became an overnight sensation. But what the cameras didn't show was far more complicated. Behind the viral fame and rock star persona was a young girl grappling with pressure, anxiety, and the crushing weight of public expectations. So what really happened to Courtney Hadwin after the spotlight dimmed? Why did she seemingly vanish? And what has she been hiding all these years? This is the untold story of a teenage powerhouse who dared to break the mold and paid the price for it. Before we dive in, let us know your thoughts in the comments. Did you follow Courtney's journey from The Voice Kids to AGT? Were you as shocked as we were by her transformation? Make sure to like, share, and subscribe for more deep dives into the lives of remarkable artists. And don't forget to click the bell icon so you never miss a story that matters. In the summer of 2018, a quiet teenager from Hartlepool, England, stepped nervously onto the America's Got Talent stage. Her name? Courtney Hadwin. Her shy demeanor and soft-spoken introduction barely hinted at the storm she was about to unleash. Then, the music dropped. Otis Redding's hard to handle, and so did every jaw in the room. With wild, electrifying movements and a voice that sounded straight out of a 1960s soul concert, Courtney erupted into an unforgettable performance that felt less like an audition and more like a spiritual possession. It was raw, unfiltered, and completely unexpected. The judges looked stunned, especially Howie Mandel, who wasted no time slamming the golden buzzer. Confetti rained down as Courtney clutched her chest in disbelief, her life changing in an instant. That single moment rocketed her to global fame. Overnight, she was a viral phenomenon. But while the world was watching a star being born, very few noticed the immense pressure now building behind the scenes. That golden buzzer? It was a blessing and a curse. Long before the world watched her shake the AGT stage, Courtney Hadwin was already chasing her dream in her native England. In 2017, just a year before her American breakout, she appeared on The Voice Kids UK. Then 12 years old, Courtney wowed the judges with a voice that didn't match her age, quickly advancing to the finals under the mentorship of McFly's Danny Jones. But while her talent lit up television screens, it also stirred an undercurrent of cruelty. As her visibility grew, so did the backlash. Courtney became a target for online trolls, cruel classmates, and judgmental strangers. Her raspy vocals, bold dance moves, and unconventional style were mocked by those who didn't understand her artistry. What made her special became the reason she was bullied on the internet and in the real world. At an age where most kids are just trying to fit in, Courtney was already learning how vicious fame could be. But instead of giving in to the pressure, she used music as both refuge and resistance. Backed by unwavering support from her family, she refused to conform. The pain was real, but so was her determination. In hindsight, those early attacks didn't break her. They forged the steel she'd need for what was coming next. Courtney Hadwin's performance on America's Got Talent wasn't just a breakout, it was a cultural moment. Millions watched her clip on YouTube. Headlines called her the second coming of Janis Joplin. Talk shows wanted her. Record labels came knocking. And before the year was out, Courtney had signed a major deal with Simon Cowell's Psycho Entertainment and Arista Records. For most young artists, this would be the dream: fame, money, validation. But for Courtney, the dream quickly revealed its cracks. At just 14, she was thrust into an industry built on image, conformity, and control. Her raspy voice and rebellious stage energy didn't fit the teen pop mold, and executives didn't always know what to do with her. Offers came with expectations, watered-down personas, polished singles, and a marketable brand that didn't align with her gritty musical soul. Behind the scenes, Courtney was quietly battling to stay true to herself. She wasn't just a kid trying to survive high school. She was navigating boardroom meetings, contract obligations, and the invisible burden of being the girl with the golden buzzer. The applause was deafening, but so was the pressure to deliver. And while the world celebrated her talent, few realized that Courtney Hadwin was already wrestling with an identity crisis few adults could handle, let alone a teenager still figuring out who she really was. In 2019, a year after her AGT whirlwind, Courtney Hadwin made a calculated move. Instead of rushing into radio-ready pop singles or following industry pressure, she released something far more personal, the Cover Sessions EP. It was a bold decision. Rather than unveiling her own lyrics, Courtney chose to reimagine 4 mainstream hits: Harry Styles' Sign of the Times, Lil Nas X's Old Town Road, the Jonas Brothers' Sucker, and Louis Capaldi's Someone You Loved, But these weren't just cover songs, they were sonic reinventions. Stripped down, gritty, and soaked in vintage soul, each track sounded less like a teen covering hits, and more like an artist rewriting them through her own emotional lens. Her take on Sign of the Times was haunting. Her version of Someone You Loved burned slow, raw, and painful. Even Old Town Road lost its playful bounce and took on a bluesy growl that turned heads. Critics began paying attention, not just because of her voice, but because of her fearlessness. Courtney wasn't just singing songs, she was telling stories. These covers became her quiet rebellion, a subtle middle finger to those trying to box her in. With the cover sessions, Courtney proved she could take massive chart toppers and bend them to her will. And for fans who were still unsure if her AGT run was a fluke, this EP made one thing clear. Courtney Hadwin was no viral one-hit wonder. She was an artist in full control of her sound. For Courtney Hadwin, the road to creative freedom was anything but smooth. After the spotlight of America's Got Talent and her initial record deal, the cracks in the music industry's polished image became painfully clear. Executives had big plans, but those plans didn't always include Courtney's voice, her vision, or her raw, unpredictable energy. As she tried to develop her own material, she found herself tangled in creative disagreements and an environment where her authenticity was seen as a liability. Courtney wanted grit, they wanted gloss, and it soon became obvious that the people who once celebrated her uniqueness now wanted to reshape her into something easier to sell. Frustrated and boxed in, Courtney made a rare move for a rising young artist. She stepped away from the machine. She chose independence. No hype, no handlers, just her voice and her truth. And it was then that she found a key ally, Grammy-winning producer Kevin Bowe. Known for his work with legends like Etta James and Joe Cocker, Bowe didn't just hear potential in Courtney, he understood it. The two began recording in Memphis, where soul and rebellion hang in the air like electricity. It was there, away from boardrooms and buzzwords, that Courtney began shaping what would become her most personal project yet. Gone was the pressure to play nice. What emerged instead was a jagged, unapologetic version of Courtney Hadwin, finally free to tell her own story. In a world obsessed with perfection, Courtney Hadwin did the unthinkable. She embraced the cracks. Her upcoming debut album, Little Miss Jagged, is more than a collection of songs. It's a manifesto, a declaration that the girl who once stood nervously under AGT's golden confetti is no longer asking for approval. The album, set for release on September 12th, is a genre-bending explosion of rock, funk, Motown, punk, and soul. But it's the stories beneath the melodies that hit hardest. Courtney wrote the songs during some of the most emotional moments of her life, when she felt shattered, misunderstood, and occasionally elated. The track that's already making waves, You Only Love Me When I Lie, offers a brutally honest glimpse into emotional exhaustion, the kind you don't see in highlight reels. Its lyrics peel back the curtain on what it means to smile for the crowd while breaking inside. Fans were stunned, not just by the depth of her words, but by how vulnerable Courtney allowed herself to be. She called the album's title Honest, explaining that she was never meant to be the polished pop princess some expected. She's jagged, rough around the edges, painfully real, and defiantly different. That identity bleeds into every note. This isn't a girl clinging to past fame. This is a young woman standing on her own terms, daring the world to love her as she is or walk away. And for the first time, Courtney Hadwin sounds completely unfiltered and completely unstoppable. If there were still doubts about Courtney Hadwin's transformation, her latest music video put them to rest. You Only Love Me When I Lie wasn't just a song. It became a visual statement of independence. Set in dimly lit rooms filled with card tables and chessboards, the video follows Courtney locked in a silent battle with a love interest, each move more symbolic than the last. No screaming, no melodrama, just a slow, confident unraveling of a toxic connection. Then, in a moment that felt both cinematic and deeply personal, she walks away. The message was unmistakable. She's no longer playing anyone's game. For fans who remembered the teenager in oversized jackets and nervous smiles, this was a shock. Courtney appeared poised, unapologetic, and fully in control. Later, she revealed that filming the video was empowering, that for the first time, she wasn't performing for others, she was reclaiming her identity. She wanted the world to see the woman she'd become, not the girl she used to be. The visual shift was dramatic, but deliberate. No stage lights, no golden buzzers, just Courtney, her story, and a quiet fire that didn't need to shout to be heard. This wasn't just a rebrand, it was a rebirth. On May 30th, 2025, Courtney Hadwin stepped onto the stage at London's Fiddler's Elbow, and it wasn't just a concert, it was a reckoning. In the heart of Camden, far from Hollywood's flashing lights, Courtney unveiled her new sound in front of a packed, sweat-soaked crowd who came not just to be entertained, but to witness her evolution. No gimmicks, no reality show backstory, just music, raw, loud, and unfiltered. She tore through unreleased tracks from her upcoming album Little Miss Jagged, delivering each lyric with the grit and hunger of an artist who had clawed her way out of the system. The energy in the room was electric. Fans who had followed her since AGT shouted every word. New listeners stared in awe, unsure how this powerhouse had ever been called shy. Courtney wasn't just performing, she was reclaiming the stage on her terms. In interviews after the show, she admitted to nerves, but also to a deep sense of joy. This wasn't a label-curated rollout. It was her moment, her message, her night. And for anyone still questioning whether Courtney Hadwin was a one-time talent show prodigy, her London set was the answer. She's not looking for fame anymore. She's chasing impact. Beyond the music and headlines, Courtney Hadwin is speaking up, and the message hits deeper than any vocal run. In recent interviews and subtle lyrical threads, she's peeled back another layer of her artistry, shining a light on something the industry still tiptoes around: gender inequality. Courtney didn't just want to create music, she wanted to create space. She's called out the double standards that haunt female artists, especially those who don't conform to mainstream expectations. While male performers are praised for being raw and edgy, women are often expected to be palatable, polished, and non-threatening. And Courtney, she never fit that mold. From the beginning, she was loud, jagged, and impossible to box in, and for that she paid a price in criticism and control attempts. But now, with Little Miss Jagged on the horizon and full independence behind her mic, she's refusing to shrink herself. She's spoken about how artists of all identities deserve the freedom to create without compromise, and how the music industry needs to stop filtering authenticity through gendered expectations. For Courtney, the microphone isn't just a tool, it's a weapon, and she's using it not just to sing, but to stand up for every artist who's ever been told to tone it down, smile more, or stay silent. When the industry got too loud, Courtney Hadwin found a new way to be heard, by going straight to the people. Social media became her sanctuary, her stage, and her bullhorn all at once. Platforms like TikTok, Instagram, YouTube, and Twitter turned into more than marketing tools. They became lifelines. While executives debated her brand, Courtney posted stripped-down clips from her bedroom, belting out rock riffs and unreleased verses. She gave fans backstage access to her recording sessions, raw rehearsals, and the messy, beautiful chaos of her creative process. TikTok clips of her impromptu vocals went viral, not because they were polished, but because they were real. Instagram became her scrapbook of resilience, sharing throwbacks, answering fan questions, and showing the unfiltered face behind the voice. And on YouTube, the same platform that launched her in 2018, she reclaimed her narrative with music videos and acoustic sessions that felt personal, not packaged. But perhaps most importantly, Courtney used these platforms to speak up. After years of being silenced by bullies and boxed in by labels, she began addressing mental health, online criticism, and the toxic side of fame, topics she knew all too well. In doing so, she became more than a performer. She became a symbol of strength for young creatives navigating a world that often doesn't know what to do with authenticity. Through every post, she reminded her followers that being too much is often just enough, and that even in the noise of algorithms and trends, a raw voice can still cut through. Courtney Hadwin's story isn't one of overnight success, it's a tale of survival. She walked into the spotlight at 13 and got everything most young artists dream of: fame, fans, and a viral legacy. But behind the applause was a fight few saw coming. A fight to be heard not just on stage, but in boardrooms. A fight to stay true in an industry that rewards copies and punishes originals. And a fight against the invisible weight of criticism, pressure, and expectation. Yet somehow Courtney didn't break. She rebuilt. From a bullied teen to an independent powerhouse, she's reshaped her destiny without asking permission. With Little Miss Jagged, she's stepping out as a woman who owns her voice, her story, and every rough edge that makes her real. This isn't a comeback, it's a quiet revolution, the kind that doesn't need a trophy or a chart-topping hit to matter. The question now isn't whether Courtney Hadwin can make it, it's whether the world is ready for her the way she truly is. And if her recent moves are any indication, she's no longer waiting for anyone's approval. She's already moving forward, raw, relentless, and finally free. So what do you think? Has Courtney Hadwin finally stepped into her own spotlight? Is Little Miss Jagged the raw, unapologetic beginning of a new chapter, or the final break from the fame that once defined her? One thing's for sure, she's not looking back, and maybe that's the most powerful part of her story. We'd love to hear your thoughts. Have you followed her journey since the early days? Do you connect with the music she's making now? Drop your reactions in the comments below. If you felt inspired, make sure to like this video. Don't forget to subscribe and hit the notification bell, because we're just getting started with more untold stories, behind-the-scenes revelations, and fearless voices who refuse to be silenced. Thanks for watching, and remember, sometimes the loudest statements come from the ones who were once told to stay quiet.